And then we have the Pnimi, the Memale, that is only a radiance from this, only the chitzonius of that or, and that is mislabesh in the world and is subjected to the process of ishtalshelus, that it gets dimmer and dimmer and hidden until it comes to this world where we, even though we realize that we are alive, we don't realize that our life is a lokus, is godliness. We don't sense the kesher anymore at all. This is our world. Today is Chav Gimel Kislev. We are on page Kuf Ayin Beis, which is in the old edition Kuf Lamed, the paragraph that begins, Omnam tzarich lehavin ha'ech efshar sha'or makif ya'ir b'bchinas pnimius. The next discussion would be, we have things to do first, but the next discussion will be, we are looking at the fact that there is Or Pnimi and Or Makif, and the Or Makif, its nature that it's not mislabesh, and it's not revealed. So how is it possible, as we learn at the end of, towards the end, in the previous paragraph, that there are times that the Or Makif can shine b'pnimius, can be internalized. How is it possible? But before that, we want to do two things. The first thing is to go over the questions, Chazara questions that Ruhama prepared. Thank you, Ruhama. Number one, the Rebbe describes two types of awakenings, his oirerus, that affects us daily. A, Lavan Elyon in early morning. B, Aaron HaKohen standing in front of the menorah and lighting it daily, morning, afternoon, and evening. What is the difference between these two lights?
One is Arisa de la Ela, one is Arisa de la Sata. Lavan Ha'alyan is just a gift that Hashem gives us in the morning. It's Arisa de la Ela, an awakening from above. And the Aaron's Avaida is Avaida coming from below, but our Avaida, it's internal.
It's part of our Avoida. Okay, very good. I think it's a good answer. That the awakening of Lavan Ha'elyon that happens daily when we feel fresh energy in the morning, that is an awakening. Excuse me. It is not at all drive that will substitute any avoida, which means it's just an awakening, as Miriam is saying, and now it's up to the one who wakes up whether they do or they don't do an avoida to internalize and to use that light. It's not the fact that this light awakens the person doesn't reassure or doesn't ensure that the person will stay awake all the time and will use his awakened powers to serve God. That's totally the choice of a person. However, the avoida of the Hadlakas Haneros of Aaron HaKohen, the high priest, says Miriam that its part is more like Isarusa deletata. The Rebbe doesn't call it like this, I think exactly, but it's an integral part of the avoida of Neshamas Israel. And we need to understand how it is so.
I don't know how yet, but it allows it. And it allows us to refine ourselves. It's not just our avoda, but in no term that's the only thing that can affect us and refine us and allow us to go to a different, get better, right? I mean,
and that's integral part of the energy that we need in order to create that. And that's Haneros. Yeah, it's part of this avoda. It's integral part of this avoda. Okay. And we have to study that. Very good. Number 3, are there fluctuations in terms of the time of Shabbos versus the week?
That could be really after, but it's okay. I also put it there in terms of, because really it's revealed much more during the Shabbos, right?
I think that the 4 comes first.
Exactly.
How do our own mitzvahs and Torah studies affect it, and how it affects us in return? And how it affects us.
Like in a mitzvah, like you can put tefillin, right? You can connect, but how does it? It doesn't affect you. But then when you study Torah, you do a mitzvah. How?
Okay, so the Rebbe explains now. The Rebbe is focusing on
to the Ratzon HaElyon.
The Rebbe is focusing on Ora Soivev, on the bottom paragraph of Kuf Ayin Aleph, which is Kuf Chaf Tes in the old edition, and says that nevertheless, even though we have these 2 different lights, Ora Soivev, which is unlimited and cannot be internalized and revealed, and Ora Pnimi that can be mislabesh. By the way, in Hasidut it's called Soivev u'memale, and in Kabbalah Makif and Pnimi, more like that, but it's the same thing. Soivev, memale, Makif, Pnimi. So, and then we have the Pnimi, the memale, that is only a radiance from this, only the chitzonius of that or, and that is mislabesh in the world, and is subjected to the process of ishtalshelus, that it gets dimmer and dimmer and hidden until it comes to this world where we, even though we realize that we are alive, we don't realize that our life is a lokus, is godliness. We don't sense the kesher anymore at all. This is our world. Now, the Rebbe is focusing on the Soivev, on Makifim. And the Rebbe said on the top in Kuf Ayin Aleph that Makifim is not that they are surrounding the world and they are not in the world. No, they are in all worlds and in all creations, but they are not revealed, they are not sensed. It's not sensed, the Or HaSoivev. And even though it's not sensed, this is actually Ikar HaChayus, the main Chayus of the Nivraim, of creations. But then, since the nature of Or HaSoivev is that it cannot be integrated the way it is, it means that even though it affects the world, it's in the world, it's the main existence of the world, nevertheless, because there is no comparison between the worlds and this Or, the Or does not cause a refinement or an elevation in the creation, even though it's there. And it's not like the Or Pnimi, as Hama explains. Or Pnimi is a light that we are aware of and cognizant of, and therefore it is mislabesh, it's invested and enclosed within ourselves, and therefore this light, working with that light, we can refine ourselves. But that is only a ha'ara. It's only a ray. Then, on the bottom of Kuf Ayin Aleph, the Rebbe says that, so now we have these 2 different distinct oros, type of Or, or aspect of Or. The Soivev and the Memale, the Makef and the Pnimi. Now the Rebbe says that you should, and one is revealed, one is not revealed, one can change the person consciously, one doesn't, and that's it. Then there's division between the 2. And one can be internalized and one not. One remains superconscious. Fine. Now the Rebbe says, Umikol Makom, nevertheless, there are such revelations of Ores Makifim in the world. That there will be Ores Makifim drawn and revealed in the world.
On Shabbos
and we have to understand what does it mean revealed. So first of all, the Rebbe says that every mitzvah brings the Gilui of Or Makif, brings down Or Makif. But what happens to this bringing down of Or Makif? It depends. there are two ways that the Or Makif is brought down. One is that even though Or Makif is brought down through the mitzvah, yet it's not Meir B'Pnimius. It's there in our world, and yet still doesn't shine B'Pnimius. And it affects us like the Rebbe says, like the commands of the king. You know, these are the laws of the king, it's like the Or Makif. And he gave the example of tefillin. That tefillin
Right.
literally is boilet min harosh, sticks out, protrudes from the head, and this represents this. Even though tefillin is brings down the Or Makif of Moichin, of the divine Moichin, the divine mind, the divine intellectual spheros. Nevertheless, they are, and that brings it down onto the nefesh of the person when he puts on tefillin. Nevertheless, it's still not Meir B'Bchinas Gilui. The person doesn't feel it. And this is represented by the tefillin protruding from the head and not in the head, like not integrated in the head. It remains above. And so
Torah.
too in all the other mitzvahs, says the Rebbe.
Except
And
Torah,
therefore,
right?
the Rebbe says, regarding doing mitzvahs, even though when a person does a mitzvah, an Or Makif, an encompassing light shines upon him, yet still, it doesn't mean that the Or affects him in such a way that he becomes as refined as that Or. It doesn't affect him in such an integrated way. Even though it does elevate a person, people who keep doing mitzvahs, and that's why the Rebbe sends us to the streets to find Yidden and to put on tefillin or to have them light a Shabbos candle, because the mitzvah does affect the person. And he does get more refined, he does get more sensitive to Yiddishkeit when he does a mitzvah. But it all affects him in a super conscious way. He doesn't know that this, because now he did a mitzvah, he put on tefillin, and then Friday comes, and then he tells himself, oh, I want to go to shul. Maybe I should go to shul this Shabbos. I didn't go since the age of bar mitzvah. Maybe I should go this Shabbos. He doesn't know, though, that this thought comes up in his mind, and maybe he will go this Shabbos to shul because he did the mitzvah of putting tefillin on Tuesday. Doesn't see the connection. And because Eino Na'asa yet b'mayla u'madrega zo, it affects the person, but the person doesn't yet directly become refined on the level of that light. Rather, this light that every mitzvah that we do is brought down upon our nefesh is like an empowerment. It's like a help. It's like an empowerment that if following that mitzvah we will do an avodah, we will be successful. So the mitzvah serves as an assistance, as an empowerment for the personal avodah that we can perform. Now we're on page Kuf Ayin Beis. So now the Rebbe says, you can understand that, as Ruchama says, there are different makifim. There is the Or Makif that is constantly in creation, because creation is always a cooperation between Or Makif and Or Pnimi. Or Makif that brings everything to existence and is there every moment in every cell and every molecule, whether it is physical or spiritual. And then the Or Pnimi, and they work together. So there is Or Makif and Or Pnimi in the world all the time. But the Or HaSoibev that is in the world all the time doesn't serve as an empowerment. It's not a messiah. It's not a helper. But it's there. The Or Makif that the mitzvah brings down is a helper, is a messiah. That if we will pick up that help, we will use this help, we will be successful in our avodah. that we can uplift ourselves. But this is specifically, so the mitzvahs make the or makiv more accessible to us, providing that we will follow it with avodah. Otherwise, the mitzvah will not change us to be on the level of the or of the mitzvah. It will remain mainly makiv. It will have an effect, but mainly will remain makiv and not revealed. But then the Rebbe says, sometimes, this is whatever we do in mitzvah, every time. Then sometimes there is actually experientially a situation when the makiv shines bepnimius, when the encompassing, the superconscious shines in conscious. Like on Shabbos, when the makiv shines bepnimius. And therefore, on Shabbos, we don't put on tefillin. Because on Shabbos, when we could put on tefillin during the week, the makiv is brought down, but still remains makiv. On Shabbos, the makiv is meir bepnimius, and therefore we don't put on tefillin. And Shabbos, there is an elevation in the worlds that are all elevated, and starting from Bria, that the kelim of Bria are now elevated in Atzilus, like when a person is shoves mimelacha, when he is resting, after he invested himself in doing something the whole week, and now he leans back and he finished working, now it's all done. Now he comes back, all his kochos are now elevated back to his own self. And drawn away from the world, from what he was doing, and now they are elevated back to his own deeper self, until the feeling of the tainug in etzem hanefesh. So all the worlds on Shabbos are lifted up, are elevated. And the light of Atzilus is mislabesh in Bria. And so too, the service of Shabbos, of a Yid on Shabbos, is the inyan of Ava Rabbah. Why? Because the Or Makif is revealed. Really, that's the Gilui HaYechida, as the Alter Rebbe will explain in the footnote that we are going to learn together, Bezrat Hashem now. So naturally, everyone is ascending to a higher level, and the avodah that one performs on Shabbos, it has a different quality than the service and the avodah that you perform during the week. It has a different quality to it, a higher level. And this is the neshama yesera on Shabbos, the extra neshama that is given to us on Shabbos. And this is what we're going to look at today. And so
sense
too,
of tanug.
Pardon?
The sense of tanug that's added that we don't have usually during the week, right?
Okay. Even though we will learn that we always, and also in Torah, all we're learning that every day that we have to bring Shabbos. Shabbos has effects. Mimena mizbach in kulu yomin. So every day we have to bring Shabbos into the day. When is the Shabbos of the day? It is Zman Tefillah. The time that we daven every day, that's the ara from Shabbos.
Wow.
That it shines on us. So we keep it going and alive. In any case, the last thing the Rebbe says, besides Shabbos, is also Torah. That through Torah, the Or Makif is Nimshach Bepnimius. Why? Because Torah is rooted in Pnimius and Atzmus, Or and Sof. So, that enables it to be able to be Makif or Pnimi or anything. It's Atzmus, Or and Sof. And through Torah, and Torah is also drawn out from, or comes out, or stemming from the Chochmah of Hashem, Chochmah Nafkas, from the Chochmah of Atzilus. And since it comes from Chochmah, so on one hand, it's rooted, the Rebbe says, in Ratzon HaElyon. That's like the mitzvahs are the Ratzon HaElyon. Chochmah is rooted in the will of Hashem. But the way it comes down to relate to us is through Seichel. And therefore it can come Bepnimius. So it has its Makif component, This was Torah and mitzvahs are the Ratzon of Hashem. But it also has the pnimius component, which is Chochmah. And Chochmah is something we can internalize. Chochmah, Torah is pnimius, because Chochmah is pnimius. V'nikres b'shem mazon, it's called food. Food we can internalize and digest. Torascha besoch me'ai. So through Torah, through learning Torah, the Or Makif can shine b'pnimius. So I would like to learn together with you today Ha'ara 38. Footnote 38 in Torah Or Vayechi, page Pezayin, Amud Gimel Va'elach. Any comments or questions so far?
So really, beside Torah, there's really not really way to go to get internalization in terms of mitzvot. Only the Torah itself.
No,
The learning of Torah.
No, mitzvot. If it's mitzvot, then to avoida. Avoida will bring the pnimius.
What do you mean by avoda? I mean, you say it, but I want to be able to grasp it. Avoda means like iyun, like you repeat it, you go through it,
The
you
avoida
digest.
on yourself. The avoida refining yourself.
Oh.
Whether refining
Oh.
iyun, refining your mind, refining your midos, refining your actions, your behavior, thought, speech, and action. Your work to refine yourself. Align yourself more
So
and more and more with the divine. Emulating the divine. To the extent that not, and that means also, as we learned yesterday, all the attachments and the addictions to olam hazeh that takes us away, so that's the avoida that we have to do. So in mitzvahs is avoida. Shabbos, it is shining b'pnimius, so the avoida is another nature to it on Shabbos. And then we have Torah. So let's look at this neshama yesera, this extra soul that we receive every Shabbos, if you don't mind. So on page 174, Parasha Vayechi, and I think it's posted on our chart, on the right side, Vehine. Parasha Vayechi, page 174 in Torah Or, which is Pezayin, Amud Gimel. והנה קודם שיסבאר בפרט בעניין בחינס ומדרגס התורה, before we discuss the principle and the level of Torah, צריך לבאר כללוס עניין בחינס השבס מהו. We have to explain the general idea of Shabbos, what it is. שסמכו עניין לו למלאכת המשכן הן בציווי הקדוש ברוך הוא למוישה רבנו עליו השלום, והן בציווי מוישה לישראל. That smachó, actually probably, that in the Torah brings the inyan of Shabbos in adjacent together with the inyan of the Mishkan. Say the way Hashem commends Moshe Rabbeinu, and Sai Betzibui Moshe Rabbeinu to the Israel, there are these three, Nizkeru Gimel Dvarim Elu, these three things that are mentioned. Yerios in our Pasha, Vekelim the Mishkan, Shabbos. The curtains of the tabernacle, the Kelim of the different Kelim, the different vessels of the tabernacle, and Shabbos in our Pasha. רק שמוישה רבנו הקדים השבס ושינה הסדר. מוישה רבנו changed the order. Okay, that's not for now. Now, והנה ידוע מאמר הז"ל, it's known what our sages are saying, שבשבס נתוסף בכל אחד ואחד מישראל נשמה יסרה. That on Shabbos, there is added to each and every Jew an extra soul. ולכאורה אינו מובן מהו עניין הנשמה יסרה. And seemingly, it's what is this extra soul business? It's not understood. הלא אין נרגש בנפש האדם תוספת חיוסו בשבס יותר מבכל השבוע. What is this extra neshama on Shabbos? We don't feel extra energy on Shabbos. We don't feel extra vitality on Shabbos or extra chayus. The same chayus we feel during the week. yeah, we can inspire this and that, but it's not Tosefes Chayus. So let's see. העניין הוא, דהי נקסיב בפרשה ראשונה דקריאה שמע, שמע ישראל חולו. השם אלוקינו, השם אחד. And then it says, ואהבת בכל לבבך. So the Rebbe takes us to Shema. Then we say, Shema Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and then we have the tzibur, ואהבת בכל לבבך. You should love Hashem with all your heart. פירוש, שהאהבה זו נולדה ונמשכה מן ההזבויננות בגדולתו יתברך, איך שההוויה אחד. So when we say in Shema ואהבת, we are talking about the ahavat Hashem, the love to Hashem that is born out of his boinenus, out of the reflection that Hashem is echad. What does it mean? Hashem is echad in relation to himself, Yehuda Tata. What does it mean that Hashem is echad in relation to worlds? And we learn Hasidus about it, hundreds and hundreds of maamarim. And as a result, and this is an activity that we have to do with our mind, to misboinen through learning Hasidus in Achdus Hashem. And that is, hopefully, will produce a love, va'avta, a love that is an outcome and a personal reaction to that reflection, to that meditation, to that study of the oneness and concentration and internalization of the oneness of Hashem. כמאמר רז"ל, תמליכהו בשמיים והארץ ודלת רוחות העולם. תמליכוהו, תמליכהו. That every person has to crown Hashem on Shamayim and Aretz and the four corners of the world. Hashem echad. Ches and Dalet. שעל זה מורה החס והדלת דאחד. That on this, the ches and the dalet of the word echad indicate הches הוא בחינת זין ריקים בארץ. The ches which is shmone, which is 8, is the 7 heavens and the earth, 8 altogether. והדלת of the word echad, and the dalet is dalet ruchos haolam, the 4 directions, the 4 corners of the world, שהם בטלים לייחודו יתברך, המרומז בעוס א'. How they are all really all space and really all time is battle to the os aleph, battle to aleph is battle, aleph is keser, aleph is the infinite, aleph is elokus, the master of the world, alufa shel olam. How all worlds are battle to Hashem echad. וכמו כן למעלה דרום המעלות יש בחינת זין רקיעים וארץ רוחניים. And this template of saying Shema, having in mind that the 7 heavens and the earth means the Shamayim and the Aretz, this is a template. You have Shamayim and Aretz and the 4 corners of the world. You have Shamayim and Aretz and the 4 corners of the world everywhere, also in the spiritual worlds, higher and higher and higher. Malchus will be like the Aretz, and the higher spheres will be like the Shamayim. Lecha Hashem Agdula, Agvura, Vatiferes. That means that the spheres Lemaila are also Eretz v'Shamayim. The Eretz is Zo, or the higher spheres, and the Malchus, the Eretz is Malchus, and Zo, and Shamayim is the Zo and the higher spheres. And on all levels, no matter what world you are in, higher and higher and higher, in the spiritual worlds as well, Lecha, Havaya, Agdula, Vagvura, Vatiferes, all spheres, all dimensions, all heavens, all earth are battle to Hashem echad. They are part of the oneness of Hashem, וכולם מקבלים חיוס רק מבחינת שם כבוד מלכוסו כולו. And we are also reflecting on the fact that all worlds, no matter how high they are, we are all only receiving our chayus, our vitality, only from Shem Kvod Malchuso, only from his name, only from the radiance from his Malchus. It's just a ray, just a radiance. As we said about Or Memale, we reflect upon that. ועל ידי הסבוננות זו יבוא לבחינס ואהבת בכל לבבך. Through this mental reflection, he will come to love Hashem. על דרך מה שאמרו השבטים ליעקב, כשם שאין בלבך אלא אחד, כך אין בליבנו אלא אחד. שמע ישראל. Who is saying Shema Israel? Israel is Yaakov. Listen, Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov, our father, say that his sons say to him, the Shvatim, just as you have nothing in your heart but Hashem Echad, we also maintain the oneness of Hashem in our consciousness as well. So, כשם שאין בלבך אלא אחד, say Yaakov's sons to him, the Shvatim, just as in your mind and in your heart, you carry only the awareness of the oneness of Hashem, כך אין בליבנו אלא אחד. So too, in our mind and in our heart, there is only the oneness of Hashem. We maintain the same meditation like you, and we maintain it. We are working on that, mentally, intellectually, spiritually. פירוש, כשם שאין בלבך אחד, אלא אחד, כי שורשו של יעקב היה גבוה מאוד נעלה. Why they say that just like in your heart is the oneness of Hashem? Because Yaakov the shorosh was very high, שהיה בחינת מרכבה ממש לייחודו ואחדותו יתברך. That Hashem, Yaakov was mamash a merkava, a chariot, to the oneness of Hashem. He was a chariot. He was just a channel to the oneness of Hashem. כך, so too, אין בליבנו אלא אחד. There is nothing in our heart but the oneness of Hashem. His sons are saying, the Shvatim, we are the Shvatim. אף שאנחנו למטה בעלמא דפרודה. Even though we, the Shvatim, are not in Atzilus anymore. We are in the worlds of separation. We are in the created worlds. We are in Bria, in Yetzirah, in Asiya. אף על פי כן, על ידי הביטול רצון להקפיה לסטרא אחא, שלא לחפוץ בשום חפץ בעולם, זולס להוויה לבדו, נעשה להם גם כן לב אחד לאבים שבשמיים. So even though the neshamas of the Shvatim that we are coming from are in the realm of the Alma de Pruda, of the reality that feels separate from its source, nevertheless, through the avoida of bitul, to subdue, lakfaya, sitra acha, to subdue our yetzer hara, and to master our beastly instincts, and not to work on not desiring anything in the world but elokus, but divinity, then one can attain also, like Yaakov Avinu, lev echad לאבינו שבשמיים. דהיינו, meaning, רצון אחד פשוט, one pure, plain desire, התקוע בלב, that is wedged in the heart, שלא לחפוץ בשום חפץ בעולם, not to desire anything in the world, זולס להוויה לבדו, except God, alone, only. לכך, and therefore, אין בליבנו אלא אחד בלבד. Therefore, we don't have in our mind, in our heart, nothing but the oneness of God. הגם שאנחנו למטה, נעשה למטה אחד כמו למעלה. Even though the Shvatim say, we are below, we are in the created world, we are in the reality that feels separate from Hashem, but we, through our void of iskafia, we are creating in the reality, or bringing the reality in the consciousness of oneness into this lower reality of Alma de Pruda. And the Rebbe explains, because in Atzilus, like Yaakov, ששם הוא בחינת רשוס היחיד, Atzilus is called the private domain, because Atzilus is still one with Hashem, there is no separation, there is no Rabim, there is no plurality, there is no two, there is only one in Atzilus. וזהו ישראל גוי אחד בארץ, שיהיה לו גילוי אחד גם בעשייה הגשמיס. And this is what we say, Israel, goy echad ba'aretz, a nation of echad. It means one nation, but also the nation of oneness in the aretz, which means that through Israel, there will be the gilui of the oneness also in the Aretz HaGashmis, also in Asiya HaGashmis. וזהו שאמר, ואהבת בכל לבבך בשני יצריך. This is what it says, that we should love Hashem בכל לבבך, with two bases, בשני יצריך. We come to a point that שיספך גם הרצון של נפש הבהמיס, that even the desire of the nefesh habahamis, of the ego and the animalistic soul, will turn around. This that is called הנקרא יצר הרע, will turn around להיות להוויה לבדו, to be directed and desire God only. ורצון זה ואהבה זו נולדים ונמשכים מהשכל. And this will, this desire to cleave to Hashem only, and this love to Hashem only, is born and drawn out of the intellect, out of the fact that we really reflected on the oneness of Hashem and realized that that since nothing else really authentically exists but Him, we should direct all our interest to Him alone. דהיינו על ידי ההתבוננות. It is done through meditation, through reflection, through study. שמזבונן בגדולתו ורוממותו יתברך. When a person reflects on the greatness and the exaltedness of God in comparison to worlds, איך דכולה קמי כלא חשיבי, how everything else but Him is completely insignificant, ואפס בלעדו, and there's nothing really but Him, שמזה יומשך, and when a person really meditates on it and learns about it, from this יומשך ביטול הרצון. What will come out is the person will want to submit his desire and his will to Hashem only. ולכן, and therefore, נשמח פסוק ואהבת לפסוק השם אחד. And therefore, in Shema, what comes after we say, הוויה אחד, השם אלוקינו, השם אחד, it says ואהבת. What? As it says לאל מיני, what Rebbe says before, כי על ידי ההתבוננות, איך שהוא יתברך אחד, בזין רקיעים וארץ, through the reflection how Hashem is one, even though we have the seven heavens and the earth, we have worlds, nevertheless Hashem is still one, they are still one with Hashem, and we learn how so. Kanal, Aruchnim, Vagashmim, whether it's the spiritual heaven and earth, you know, the higher spheros and malchus, or the physical heaven and earth. יומשך ואהבת בכל לבבך. After this boinenus, how Hashem echad in all that, then what will be coming out of that is אהבת Hashem, ואהבת בכל לבבך. Fine. Now the Rebbe comes to the point. והנה now, כל זה הוא בכל 16 ימי המעשה. All this is all week long, during the 6 days of the week. שנאמר בו, that about the 6 days of the week, it says, 6 ימים תעבוד. 6 days you should work. והעבודה היא בחינת פולחנה דרחימוסה. What avoida? What work are we talking about? How to arouse and to produce and to experience Ahavas Hashem, to come closer and closer to Hashem. Pulchena means the service of, in Aramaic, rechimusa. Rechimu, Ava. Rechimu dechilu, Ava v'yira. Ki hi b'chinas avoida v'yigia. Because during the week, to produce this love, ahavta, requires work. Mental work, personal toil, to mentally meditate and to refine yourself, it requires avoida. שאי אפשר להיות הולדס והמשכס האהבה מההתבוננות, אלא אם כן ייגע את עצמו. It's not possible just automatically to think about Shema and immediately, I feel love to Hashem. It doesn't work like this. Unless a person exerts himself, toils himself, לקשר דעתו, to really attach his mind strongly, בחוזק, to these ideas, and to focus and concentrate and make it personal. ונצרך לזה, and for this what is required, כל הלמד טס מלאכות ברוחניוס. All the spiritual lamed tes types 39 types of works that we don't do on Shabbos, that we do during the week. To plow and to sow, we have to plow in our nefesh, we have to plant seeds in our mind, in our soul. There is an avodah. We have a lot of work to do. And all these physical 39 melachos of the Mishkan have also spiritual. They are representing spiritual works, how a person refines himself and elevates himself. Hazorea v'achoresh, the one who plants seeds and the one that plows. כמו שכתוב במקום אחר, as it's explained elsewhere. This is during the week. ובחינס אהבה זו שבכל, and this love that with a lot of work we produce during the week, היא רק האהבה הנמשכת מהשכל וההתבוננות חולו. It's only love that comes out of our intellect and our reflection. So that's one type of love that we can produce through the avodah of the weekdays. Aval b'Shabbos. However, Shabbos, that's a different story. Aval b'Shabbos is a different story. נתוסף בכל אחד נשמה יסרה. Shabbos, everyone receives an extra soul. והיינו שנולד בכנסת ישראל דבר חדש. On Shabbos, something new is born in the collective Jewish soul. Something new. Mamash, Chadash Mamash. Mamash new. An innovation happens on Shabbos. מה שאין נמצא בהם בחול, which is not found in the Jewish souls during weekdays. והיינו, בחינת אהבה ורצון להוויה שלמעלה מן השכל וההתבוננות. This is a different type of love that is coming into the soul, shines in the soul of a Jew on Shabbos. It's Ava, love, and a desire, ratzon, and will to Hashem, shelemala min hasechel v'hizbonenus, that is higher than intellect and is higher than reflection and meditation. Ki hine is ratzon ve'is ratzon. There is will and there is will. There are two types of will. Is ratzon shenolad me'asechel v'hizbonenus. There is will that is born out of a reflection and sechel. When you reach a certain conclusion with your mind that something is good, so that gives birth to a will to have it or to follow it and to be connected to it. This is a ratzon that is born out of sechel, out of the mind, out of the intellect. ונקרא ratzon hatachton. It's called the lower level of ratzon, the lower ratzon, the ratzon that is born out of sechel, out of the mind. לפי שבחינת רצון זה נולד מהשכל. Because this ratzon is born out of the mind, out of the intellect. אם כן, if so, הוא למטה מהחוכמה. If this is the case, if this is ratzon that is born out of sechel, this is ratzon that is lower than sechel, that is lower than חוכמה and בינה, ונולד ונמשך מהם. And it is born and it's drawn out of חוכמה and בינה. So it is ratzon that is lower than the moichim. But then there is a higher level of ratzon. בחינת רצון העליון, the supreme, the higher ratzon, שלמעלה מעלה מהחוכמה. This is a ratzon that is way higher than chokhmah. Chokhmah is only a garment to the soul in some ways. Seichel is not the soul itself. It's just a garment, a channel of expression of the soul. It's just a garment. It's a language that the soul expresses itself through. But ratzon is the soul itself. The soul itself is moving towards something. That's ratzon. Lemala mala min ha-chokhmah. Higher than the chokhmah. It's just that is the nefesh itself already. וגילוי בחינה זו בנפש האדם הוא בחינס האהבה שאינה נולדה מהזבוננוס השכל. The revelation of this love in the soul of a yid. This is the aspect of the ahava, the love that is not born from the reflection of the mind. כי אם היא אהבה פשוטה, rather it is pure love, is not, pshuta means it's not composed, not compound with the mind at all. It's a pure, plain love שלמעלה מן השכל, that is higher than the intellect, שזהו בחינת יחידה שבנפש. This is the יחידה in the soul. That's a pure love that is not conditioned by sechel or by anything. שלמעלה מהחוכמה, which is higher than חוכמה, than wisdom and intellect. וכמו על דרך משל, like you see in the behavior of humans, that כאשר יחפוץ האדם בחפץ ורצון לאיזה דבר הנוגע לעצם הנפש ממש, that you can see that sometimes a person might desire something very, very intensely, and this thing that he really wants to accomplish or to have or to achieve is nogea to עצם הנפש. Is nogea to עצם הנפש. And that means that זה גורם לו לעשות דברים שלא על פי טעם ודעת והשכל כלל. It will cause him to do things that are not logical at all. So sometimes when you do things, when something is nogea to עצם הנפש, a person will do things that are not just dictated by mind. He will do things that beyond beyond logic. כי רצון זה עמוק עמוק מהשכל. Because this desire this will is way, way deeper than the intellect. וכנודע שיש בחינת רצון שלמעלה מהשכל, על דרך אומרם, כך עלה במחשבה, ואין טעם לרצון. As known that there is רצון that is higher than intellect, as it says, כך עלה במחשבה. This is how it came up in Hashem's thought. Thought, מחשבה sometimes means רצון. And אין טעם לרצון, there is no reason to רצון. רצון is higher than reasoning, higher than logic. ובחינת אהבה ורצון זה, להוויה מסגלה בנפש האדם ביום השבס דווקא. And this love and this desire to Hashem is revealed in the soul of a Yid דווקא on the day of Shabbos. והיא בחינת אהבה רבה. This is the great love, אהבה רבה, that is higher than the world, שהיא באה מלמעלה למטה, that comes from above down, בנפש האלוקיס, in the godly soul on Shabbos. דהיינו שאין האהבה לפי ערך השכל וההסבוננות לבד, רק היא למעלה מהשכל ונמשכת מבחינת רצון העליון שלמעלה מחוכמה. That means that this love, this great love, comes way, way higher than sechel. It's not proportional to the sechel. It's not coming because of his boinenus and sechel. It is way higher, and it comes from the divine ratzon that is way higher than the Sfiras HaChochma. And this is what it says Kabbalistically in Pri Etz Chaim. Pri Etz Chaim from the Arizal that discusses Yamim Tovim, Shabbos. והיכל האהבה המאיר בקריאת שבס, I'm sorry, והיכל, in Pri Etz Chaim, the Arizal says, Reb Chaim Vital, in the name of the Arizal, writes, והיכל האהבה המאיר בקריאת שמע דשבס, the chamber of love that shines, the type of love that shines on קריאת שמע on Shabbos, הוא למעלה מעלה מבחינת היכל האהבה המאיר בקריאת שמע דחול. Is way higher than the chamber of love that shines in Kriya Shema, during Kriya Shema in Chol, in the weekdays. So this is a different love completely. Now we understand why. שבחינת גילוי רצון העליון הוא בשבס דווקא. The revelation of the divine will is דווקא בשבס. And Shabbos is the revelation of the will. It's like when you stop working and you lean back and you say, this is what I wanted. Now again, as Ruchama says, you experience your desire and your tainug that initially caused you to be engaged in all the work that you do the 6 days of the week. The Hineksiv, it says that in the Beis HaMikdash, in the temple, שער החצר הפנימיס הפונה קדים, that all week long, the shar, the gate to the inner courtyard of the temple, hapone kadim, that turns. So kadim is east. So the shar hechatzer hapnimith, the gate to the inner courtyard that faces east, was closed all week long and opened on Shabbos Kodesh. Perush, כי בעשרה מאמרות נברא העולם בששת ימי בראשיס, ובראשיס שהיא חוכמה אילמה נמי מאמר הוא, ונשפלה החוכמה אילאה והמידוס להסלבש בבחינת הדיבור, לומר יהי אור חולו. Because in the 10 maamaros, through which the world, in the 10 divine utterances, through which the world was created during the 6 days of Bereshis, Bereshis is also a maamar. Bereshis bara Elokim is also a maamar that it represents. Bereshis represents bechokmesa chokma ilah. And now the beginning of the Torah, they said Bereshis bara Elokim. It means how now, starting from chokma, the divine chokma is now nishpela. You know, the mind of the person, when you are, let's say, you are making a vessel, or you are cooking, your mind has now nishpela, lowers into the midos, and the midos into your thought, and your thought into your action, and now you're cooking. So this is like creating something. The mind, all from chokhmah, all the higher kochos has now lowered into the lower kochos, and mislabesh into the lower kochos, b'chinas hadibur. Now the divine chokhmah is mislabesh into his divine dibur, that's malchus, lomar, to say yehi or, to create light. So it's a process of lowering the kochos down to as Hashem is creating the world. על דרך משל אדם הכותב או מצייר חולו, like a person writes or a person creates a painting. So there is a certain idea that he wants to communicate, and this idea now has to mislabesh in the kochos ha'maaseh, has to come down. ונקרא לכך Vav Yemei Bereshis. And therefore the 6 days of the week are called the 6 days of Bereshis, because shemekabli mibchinas Reshis. Because why they are called the 6 days of Bereshis, the 6 days that belong to Bereshis, because the Bereshis bechokmasa, it's Chokhmah. The 6 days of the week are receiving from Chokhmah, Chokhmah ilah, that comes down into the world. Uve Shabbos. And this is when Hashem is busy creating, and we are busy in our avodah, producing the lower level of Ratzon. However, on Shabbos, ksiv vayinafash, Hashem rested. Shegamar hamelacha, that he finished the work of Sheshes Yemei Bereshis, v'nis'alu ha'chokhmah u'midos libchina shelemala me'achokmah. Now, all that chokhmah that had to come down to midos, and midos to machshava, and machshava to dibur, and to maaseh, by us maaseh, by Hashem dibur is already maaseh. All this process of descent now is coming back. All the kochos are withdrawn up, going up back to their source, all the way that chokhmah is now ascending to lemala me'chokhmah. What is it? Ubchinas ratzon v'tainug ha'elyon. Ratzon, the keser, the divine desire, divine will. Vezeu b'chinas hapone kadim. This is the shar, the gates that turns kadim. Kadim means kedem. B'chinas shel lemayla me'achokhmah. Kedem, kadmon, is lemayla min ha'chokhmah, is keser. Nikra kedem, it's called kedem. Kedem is east, but it also means before, like prior to everything else. Shel lemayla b'chinas reshis. So Kedem is higher than Reshis. Reshis means the beginning of those that will follow. That's Chokhmah. Kedem, Ratzon, is higher than Chokhmah. Way higher. And it's not a beginning in that sense that it's incomparably higher. Ki HaReshis yesh sheni lo. When you say Reshis, a beginning, it will be followed by more. A beginning will follow with those that are following. מה שאין כן בחינס קדמונו של עולם. The aspect of kadmon, it doesn't mean at the beginning of, it means before everything. וכנודע גם כן על פי המגיד מראשיס חולו ומקדם חולו, עיין שם. ובשבס נפתח השער הפונה קדים. However, on Shabbos, this gate that turns kadim towards kedem, hu gilu is opened, is now open. Every Shabbos they used to open that gate that was closed all week long. What does it mean? Hu gilu ratzon ha'elyon. It represents the revelation of the higher ratzon, the ratzon above sechel, ratzon ha'elyon v'tanug ha'elyon. It's the ratzon and the tanug ha'elyon, the divine desire, the divine pleasure in creation. לפי ששבס וינפש, because Hashem stopped and rested. He stopped working. עליית החוכמה בלמעלה מהחוכמה. That means the chokhmah now is going higher. All this mental activity of chokhmah that had to be engaged in bringing down and actualizing this ratzon now can be removing itself from all the activities and now being oile, being ascending and included back into the divine ratzon that is higher than chokhmah. מה שאין כן בששת ימי המעשה. This is not the case during the week, שנקראים ו' ימי בראשית, that are called the 6 days of Bereshit, that they are mekabel from chokhmah. They are not mekabel from kedem. The 6 days of the week are mekabel from chokhmah, ולא מבחינת קדם של למעלה מן החוכמה. So during the 6 days of the week, we can only talk about the ratzon atachton, the lower ratzon, produced from sechel, and during Shabbos, you can expect the higher ratzon, which is למעלה מן השכל ומהחוכמה. שאינו אז בבחינת גילוי, during the week is not revealed, כמו על דרך משל, שבשעת המלאכה אין מסגלה עדיין התענוג. That's like when a person is in the middle of doing something, the pleasure is not revealed yet, רק שנגמר חול, only when he finishes, when he ends, when he concludes the work. ולכן נמשך גילוי בחינת רצון העליון גם כן בנפש האדם. And therefore on Shabbos, this רצון העליון is now revealed also, not only למעלה, but it's revealed also בנפש האדם, שהיא גילוי האהבה הרבה של למעלה מהשכל, which is the revelation of the great love higher than the intellect, כמו שכתוב about the pasuk, כי טובים דודייך מיין. Your love is better than yain, than wine. Yain represents bina, sechel, intellect, and this is ava, then higher than yain. ומאמר הז"ל, ערבים עלי חולו, דברי סופרים, זה שאנו אומרים בקידוש דשבס ורצה בנו. עיין שם, הסגלוס רצון העליון, על שם הסגלוס רצון העליון בנו ממש. We say in קידוש, השם רצה בנו. הוא בחר בנו, רצה בנו, he wanted us. This is the גילוי of רצון העליון למעלה מן השכל. And the Rebbe will continue, it's a shame that we couldn't finish it, but the Rebbe will continue that this is inyan of Shabbat, Shabbaton, Le'avaya. Give me another 2 minutes. המשחת הרצון העליון, which is higher than sechel, that is revealed on Shabbos. But in order to be able to bring down the higher ratzon, you first need the keli for it. What's the keli for the higher ratzon to dwell and to be held and to be internalized? That's the ratzon atachton. That's that during the week you work all week long to produce that love that comes out of his boinenus, out of your avoida, and out of you is boinenus, and that becomes the keli to the ratzon ha'elyon. The bottom line is the paragraph that starts on פרחס והנה כשנמשך רצון העליון להסלבש ברצון התחתון ביום השבס. So we need to understand that it's not just 2 separate רצונות. One is a preparation for the other. And on Shabbos, the רצון העליון is נמשך into the kli for it, which is the רצון התחתון that we work on during the week. So this, the Neshama Yesera that is revealed, the Yechida, the Ratzon HaElyon that is revealed on Shabbos to our soul versus the lower Ratzon during the week.